There are movies that are great. They have incredible acting, direction, score, writing, and theme. And other movies, well, they're just full of explosions, ninjas, hot girls, cars, and gunplay. And it's awesome. Hi, I'm Josh, and today we are going to take a look to determine just how awesome is
Wick.
The Rotten Tomatoes critics' consensus reads, stylish, thrilling, and giddily kinetic, John Wick serves as a satisfying return to action for Keanu Reeves and what looks like it could be the first of a franchise, with an overall tomato meter score of 86% certified fresh. IMDb gives John Wick a 7.3 average score out of 400,000 votes cast. Adding those two scores together gives us an average total of 7.95 points, with a 3-point bonus added on for John Wick having that pause the remote factor to stop and watch whenever you see it on cable. A one-sentence summary of John Wick would go something like this. A retired hitman goes on a murderous rampage after the son of a mobster kills his dog. Now that doesn't sound like a very interesting or believable plot, but holy shit! In practice, it is more than compelling. John Wick is introduced to us as a broken man, mourning the loss of his wife, and showing us the last gift that she ever gave him, a dog to keep him company. So when he loses that dog, the last part of his wife that was still left, it destroys him, and we can see how it destroys him. What makes this story so incredible to watch is how laser-like focused John Wick is in his quest to get revenge, and that's thanks to Keanu Reeves' masterful portrayal. Yet John balances this focus with a desire to leave behind that dangerous life that he had given up in order to be with his late wife. Wick is a man who has lost everything. He's torn between two worlds and searching for what his purpose in life will be. But at this moment, his only purpose is to kill the bastards that killed his dog, and anyone who stands in his way. And my god, it is fun to watch. That's why it gets a total of 9 out of 10. John Wick, Baba Yaga. It's a two-syllable name that's mere mention inspires fear in the hearts of the head of a mob boss and all his underlings. John is, in the words of his adversary, a man of focus, determination, sheer will. Even Viggo knows that John is not a man one should cross, but he's also a man with a code. John doesn't kill his old associate Francis when he has the option not to. He doesn't even kill Viggo after he sent men to kill him, as his quarrel is with Viggo's son, and John understands why his father would protect him. John is the best not because of his accuracy with a pistol, but his pure willpower. What he does isn't extraordinary. It doesn't come from a superpower, but it comes from a place of drive that any of us could reach, but we know in our hearts we won't. That's what makes John Wick the perfect protagonist and gets him a 10 out of 10. John is a man to be respected and feared, and that's the way he likes it. In John Wick, there is no love interest. John had a wife, she died, she was fine. She was played by Bridget Monahan, but honestly she wasn't really story. You might be able to count Addie, the bartender at the Continental, as a love interest, but she also doesn't play a really big role in the story. So since there's not really a love interest, no points will be added
on the other side.
It was good, Addie. Far better than I deserved.
There are two main villains of this movie, Viggo and his son Yosef Tarasov. Yosef is the first primary antagonist who kills John Wick's dog and steals his car. And then he spends the rest of the movie running away from John and hiding behind his daddy's thugs. But Viggo is the real big bad. He's the mob boss who inspires and hires the thugs that fight John. So since there are two main villains, we have to average the two scores. Viggo is clearly the more threatening, and Yosef, well, he's just kind of a little brat. Neither are incredibly evil, and Viggo actually has a decent backstory, and he shows a good deal of respect for John. He's a solid villain, even though he's not that memorable. Unfortunately, his score will be offset by that of his son.
That fucking nobody? That fucking nobody is John Wick.
In this case, we don't have one designated sidekick for John, but we do have multiple side characters who assist him throughout the movie. Winston provides him with information to find Yosef and Vigo, the hotel manager keeps order and helps John stay alive after the Red Circle fight, Aurelio tips off John when his car passes through his shop, and throws a punch to Yosef when he hears that someone dared to cross John Wick, and finally, Marcus watches over John and keeps him alive multiple times thanks to his handy sniper rifle. Collectively, they're all decently badass because they're all in the assassin world, but we never really see any of them doing anything spectacular. I'll give them a 6 collectively.
I like this. What do you know what Vigo likes or doesn't like? I'll tell you something he's gonna understand.
Even though we would technically consider Marcus to be John's mentor, at no point in this movie does he do any, well, mentoring. John is already the badass that he was meant to be at the start of this movie, and Marcus is portrayed as more of a friend than a father figure. Therefore, we include Marcus in the sidekick category, and no points for a master or mentor will be given here. When it comes to explosions, there's really only one instance of any big booms, and that's when John blows up the 3 cars in Yosef's safe house. Now, these are 3 pretty decent explosions, nothing to write home about, but they do net him 2 kills. So the Leech get their own 1 point, so that's a 3 out of 10 for this category. When it comes to special effects in John Wick, really the only thing we can talk about are the action sequences. But believe me, there is a lot to talk about. This movie is littered with practical effects, which is what you would expect from a former stunt choreographer turned director. The great thing about John Wick is how the action in this movie is always framed properly. It feels very fluid and kinetic due to the long panning shot as opposed to a lot of quick cuts. The special effects for this movie get a 10 out of 10 because the action sequences in John Wick should be teaching take material for anybody who wants to make an action movie. As far as nonsensical moments go, John Wick is actually pretty good in this regard. The movie feels very grounded and realistic. The only real moment that kind of takes you out of the movie is when Miss Perkins goes to that tunnel after she commits a murder on the grounds of the Continental. Did she not know that she was going to get killed there? It seems like you would. So, minus a point for that.
You stay.
So now we get to the point where we're going to be adding on points for those incredible, memorable moments in the movie. The first is when Vigo is revealing who John Wick is to Yosef. And I love the way that this is set up, that they are not giving away a ton of information at the very start. It's all set up in that initial first conversation between Vigo and Aurelia.
I heard you struck my son.
Yes, sir, I did.
And may I ask why?
Yeah, well, because he stole John Wick's car, sir, and killed his dog.
Oh.
It's so perfect. It's so perfect. One word is all it takes for Vigo to convey to us that he knows who John Wick is and he understands why Aurelia wouldn't want to cross him. That's why he gets so angry at Yosef when he sees him, and then he does that brief little reveal about the guy that he robbed is somebody that he knows, culminating with that classic line.
That fucking nobody is John Wick.
The second memorable scene from this movie is the shootout at the Red Circle. I mean, what more is there to say about this scene? It's so visually gorgeous, the sound is electrifying, the camera work, the choreography are just perfectly on point. The transition from area from the basement to the dance floor to the private club, back to the balcony, it's just gorgeous. It's one of the top 5 action sequences filmed in the last 10 years. It's amazing. And finally, we have this incredible moment of emotion and acting where John Wick tells Vigo exactly what his son has done to him, why he is on this terrible crusade of rampage that's taken him out of retirement, and why he cares so much about that car and that dog. It's just has to be watched in its full. Enjoy.
Until that dog arrived on my doorstep. A final gift from my wife. In that moment, I received some semblance of hope. An opportunity to grieve unalone. And your son took that from me. Stole that from me. Killed that from me! People keep asking if I'm back, and I haven't really had an answer. But now, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
Thank you all so much for watching this installment of How Awesome Is It? This is a new venture that I'm going into, trying to do movie reviews once a week based off of my rubric, which I wrote for post-grad problems. I'll include a link to the original article in the description so you can check it out. I'm putting up a few options for which movie I will be reviewing next week. You can feel free to write in your own or just pick one of the list. Whichever one is most upvoted, I will cover next week. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Please like, subscribe, do all that crap, and I will see you next week. Peace out.